was 1989. Jenny was 5 years old, Jordan was 3 years old, and Jeremy was 1 year old. My parents' place was right on a creek, and so we would often go on the boat. Every weekend we'd go on the boat. We were fairly new Christians. I think it had been only 2 or 3 weeks that we had accepted the Lord as our Savior. We were at my parents' place with another couple. It was a couple that had recently brought us to the Lord. So it was very helpful for me to have help with these kids. Jenny took this floaty thinking she liked it and wanted to use it, and she was too big for it. So I didn't see this part, but she got into the floaty, and the floaty completely tipped over in the water.
For some reason, do visualize my toes getting just a tad too far off, from the sand underneath. And I can picture what it was like to be upside down and everything just going dark around me, but I don't remember ever feeling afraid.
And I didn't see it tip over, and we were sort of looking around, and then I noticed these legs in the water, and then her legs went limp. And I just automatically went running to her, grabbed her out of the water, and I was holding her in my arms, and her body was completely limp. And I looked down at her, and her eyes were rolled back, and there was no life in her body, and it was very scary. And anyway, I went to the shore and laid her down on the sand, and my friend was trying to get my husband's and her husband's attention from the water. It was a time where there were no cell phones, or we couldn't call for help, and there was nobody else on the beach. We were the only ones there. Her oldest son was, I think, 12 years old. He had just taken the St. John's ambulance course and had learned CPR. And so he was like, I know CPR, and he comes to Jenny. I was just praying, God save my little girl, and I guess it might have appeared desperate. I mean, I didn't know a lot of the faith. I wasn't standing on authority because I didn't know any of those things at that time. And he performed CPR on her, and then all of a sudden turned her on her side. She started to vomit, throw up the water, and she came back to us. And
they took me to the hospital to get checked out to see if there were water in my lungs. And I remember them telling the doctor that their daughter had drowned, and they didn't believe. They said if she had drowned, she'd be dead, and here she is, she's obviously fine, and I had no water in my lungs, which apparently wouldn't be the case if I had drowned as well. So I found that to be part of the miracle, that a lot of the time when miracles happen in medical situations, that the doctors don't have an explanation for it. As now that I've become a parent, how frightening that would be, and my youngest is almost exactly that age. But as I've been raised now as a Christian in her home, I also just have a feeling of no matter what would have happened, whether it had become the most tragic day in our family or not, that you knew God and that He would have brought you through any of those things, and that either way, it would have become an amazing testimony.
You're just living in that moment and doing the best you can as a parent. And I think the biggest thing would be to just trust that God's with you always. He never leaves you or forsakes you, and He's got you. A lot of times we take for granted what God does, the little things that He does. He cares about all the little things in our life, and it builds faith in your children. So if you can remember the good things that God has done in your lives, all through your children's lives, it'll help build their faith as adults.